All right, first and foremost, I have to say that I've been sick for a couple of days here, so you have to forgive my voice because it's kind of worn out. And if I ramble or when I ramble, start repeating myself, stuff like that, it's because my brain's been fried by high fevers for a couple of days now. But here's this thing: I had started on it like a year ago, and I lost interest, wandered off. But he uses a lot of neat kind of techniques or tricks in studio. Um, that aren't that widely known. It could be pretty useful to certain people. So I figured I'd do a video just to kind of highlight them and show them off and help make people aware. What this is here, in case you haven't gone, oh, I know what that is yet, is that's the basic leg design by Theo Jansen. That's probably not how you pronounce it because he's Dutch, and that didn't sound at all Dutch. But he's the Dutch artist who does those kinetic sculptures you see walking down the beach, or you don't see them, but you see pictures of them walking down the beach, stuff like that. But that's his leg, and did the research, found out what the exact ratios from point to point and all that stuff are. And here's the way it looks in a line GIF. So that's the way it works. You can see how it's going to work here. That point there is stationary. That point there is stationary. This little bar here that's called M. I don't know why that's the cheat sheet that told me what the ratios was labeled all these. So that's M. M rotates around. That's basically the drive shaft. It goes round and round and round. It's that bar there, and as it goes round and round and round, it pushes everything else. Of course, this is studio, so it wasn't quite that simple. And I'm just going to real quick here look at the rigging so that there's some idea of what's going on. Like I said, M drives around. M's also got a target, just a distinct point right there that other things can point at. Specifically, that bar there is pointing at M. If I go like that, you can see that's pointing at M, and that's pointing at the M target. Yeah, the target, not M, of course. This one here is hinged right there, and that's actually got to be manually adjusted. This one here is hinged right there. Which one did I just do? That one there? No, that one there's hinged there. It has to be manually adjusted. That one there I already said is automatically pointing at M. This one here is hinged right there, and it's pointing at, well, it's not pointing at anything. It's H, but H has a target. That point right there, if I go like that, you can see that's the H target point, which that points at. So about half of it points where it's supposed to point. The other half you adjust manually to get it where it's supposed to go. A leg that doesn't move is no fun, so I'm going to open up the timeline editor here, and we're going to show you real quick how we get a step cycle or a walk cycle thing going on here. And because the way it's driving is that goes around full circles, one step, it's 360 degrees. So to make the math easy, we're going to make 36 frames, which will make 10 degrees per frame, etc., etc. And M is the drive shaft. Well, here we got to go start at 0 is 0. We come over here to there. So that's frame 1, and that's going to be 10 degrees. And let me zoom in a little bit. And this one here, I needed to adjust. Oops, there you see how those are pointing in the targets. And so the trick here is then to just line it up. And I'm watching that one there, trying to get it lined back up to the hole there. And then kind of the same thing here. I'm going to grab that one and adjust it. You can see this one here is what I'm watching, and I'm trying to line that one back up with the hole, which on this first step actually it doesn't need to move at all. And then this one here, same thing. I'm bending it, and you can see that this one here is pointing at that target, and I'm just trying to get the hole lined back up to the pin. So that's that, and there is frame 1 of the step cycle. So it goes frame 2, we go back to M, we rotate it our 20 degrees. That's the one value we know. And we do that, and we rotate that to where it's supposed to be, and we come over here and we rotate that till it lines back up. Of course, I did this for real earlier, and I spent a lot more time doing this. I zoomed way in close, spent a lot of time tweaking the numbers to get it pretty much exact. Yeah, I'll say that because you have no choice but to believe me. But I don't want to do that now because you got to do that 36 times, and it takes a long time. And so I'm just going to go ahead and clear out the animation, and just because I want to be redundant, I'm going to cut my frames back down to 0, come back up here to the top. One important thing I should say real quick before I go any further and forget again, you can see everything here is FL1. That stands for front leg 1, because one leg by itself is no good, so I'm going to have multiple legs, and I'm going to cheat to make those multiple legs so I don't have to redo all this work a bunch of times. So I need to give it everything a unique qualifier, because when I have multiple legs and it's all basically the same thing, just different, I don't want any chance that Studio is going to get confused. I ran into that like the first time through because I had a bunch of names that were the same, but then they were on separate figures. But then because of the point-ats and some other stuff, there was some I don't want to call it crosstalk, but there was some confusion, and things went all wonky on me. So everything's got, I mean, everything's got, if I go in to the actual names, you can see the node name and the label. So it's not just the label you see there, it's the internal name too. Has the FL1, everything's FL1. There's no variation, there's no fancy, it's not spelled out there, it's not lowercase in some places, it's very, very much FL1 everywhere you go. In fact, if you come over here to the tool settings, I've got the same thing for the face grips. Everything is FL1. When I make the morphs, everything's going to be FL1. That way there's no confusion that this is the whatever for this bit of the leg, not some other leg that I'll make later. I'm going to go back to that because I like to see the bones when I'm working. And obviously I'm in wireframe mode too there because I didn't do any textures, so it looks like that if you're not in wireframe. Plus that let me see it better. So what I'm going to do though is I'm going to apply this animation that I had saved like the third, fourth, fifth time I had redone it. And I realized I should just save out an animation. So now if you go through and you step through, you can see that it's a walk cycle, or a step cycle, whichever you want to call it. And that's pretty cool. I'm not a huge fan of using animations for animated things. I like animations for animations, but something like that, it seems like there should be a dial to do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and make a dial to do that. And I'm just going to go back and make sure I'm in the root there, and I'm going to go back to the parameters, and I'm okay, but I'm going to go ahead and make a dial. And things are getting kind of crowded over here. I'm just going to click randomly, hit edit mode, and again clicking randomly. I'm going to create a new property. Alright, I'm going to create a new property here, and I'm going to call this uncreatively step FL1. Is it FL? Yeah, FL1. I'm just going to tab down and it fills in automatically. The path I want to put this in is in controls, and I'm going to go ahead and set this now. Just as likely because I'm going to have a bunch of dials, I can set them all at the end, but I'm just going to set it now. I do want to use the limits. The limits I want to use are 0 to 1. I wanted to start at 0, I wanted to run to 1, and that'll be a step. Yeah, we'll leave it as, no, yeah, we'll leave it as a percent just because it's, 0% of a step, 100% of a step. That makes sense. We'll leave it as a percent. We'll like that. We jump down here to the group, and there's our dial, which of course right now does nothing. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to do ERC freeze, and over here we're going to hit keyed. And for those of you who don't know, because this is kind of a newer, I guess, function of Studio, it doesn't get used a lot, so there's a lot of people who don't know about it. What that's going to do is that's going to take my timeline here, that's going to take the animation, whatever's on the timeline, and it's going to bake it as the keys for the dial. And it's going to make it fit, basically. So my limits are 0 and 1. It's going to take, that's going to be 0, this end's going to be 1, everything else is going to fit in between. It does all the funky math to get the decimal points to make all that work. And here you can see those are the values that got adjusted. I know the Y and Z rotation, I was a little bit off, or the Z's, but the X and Y's a little bit off on my math when I was doing it. Also, there's extra rotations in there, but that's okay because it doesn't break anything. So I'm going to hit accept, and now if I dial it like this, you can see that dial makes it take a step. And just to prove it's not a trick of some sort, I'm going to go ahead and again clear out the animation and just be redundant. I'm going to set that back to, I'm going to close my timeline so I can actually see what I'm doing again. And here we are with our dial. It takes a step, which by itself right now it's kind of awkward. All you can do is you can take a step forward, take a step back. Not a lot you can do right there. If it dials slower, it wouldn't look so jumpy. There we go. I'm going to pause the video. I'm going to have to do a second video here because YouTube gets kind of weird when the videos are too long. So I'm going to pause it and we're going to come back. I'm just going to show you how to make a dial that will just go and go and go and go and